Hello everybody, I'm Sniping is Fun. In this video I'm going to bring you guys today, it's going to be my thoughts on a little subject that I've been thinking about for the last couple weeks now. I've been wanting to do a video on it. I just haven't really decided to do a video yet. I haven't done the video yet until, of course now. And it's something I believe actually is quite true. I don't know how many people would actually agree with me on this, but I believe actually at this point in time, after seeing this previous year and what's been going on, I think it's actually kind of true, and that is, these game localization groups and these groups to try to get games just made or brought back, or groups like that, I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I don't think we're ever going to see a time when groups like this are ever not going to be needed ever again. Because I've come to realize that a ton of groups have started up within the last year, and more and more and more groups keep coming. Like, not just for game localizations, but, to get games made or to get games brought back. It's like there's always going to be some kind of problem people have with, like, oh, I want to see that game come to where I live, or I want to see that game actually be made, or that game should have been made, why in the world did you cancel it, kind of stuff. All these things, like, there's more and more groups. Like, every other month there seems to be another group brought up, like, ever since Operation Rainfall started, And I think at this point in time we're never going to be in a time when groups like these will ever disappear, really, or at least fully disappear. They're always going to be out there somewhere. I mean, I'm not saying Operation Rainfall started off, because back in the late 90s and early 2000s there were groups for the Earthbound/Mother games, and I think between then and when Operation Rainfall actually started, I do think there's been a few other ones, but it's like they never hit their stride. They never became as big as they possibly could, or a time where they really was like a big thing to do, until Operation Rainfall started last year in 2011. Like, ever since Operation Rainfall started last year in 2011, as well as the 100,000 strong to bring back Mega Man Legends 3, it's like, and there's been groups and groups and groups for localizations. There's the Fire Emblem 12 Liberation Army. There's Operation 13 for Tales of Xillia. There was that Project Lant for Tales of Graces F. There's my Seek for the Earthseeker support group. There's a Rodea group now. There's a group for Operation Starstorm to get more Mother games brought outside of Japan, and there's also a group working to try to work on a new Mother game to get Mother be brought back. Actually, I'm not sure though. There's something about that. There's some kind of fan page. Some fans are trying to make a Mother 4. And, well, there's the Project Cross Zone group now. There's a group for, I think there's a group for Fatal Frame 2. There's a Rodea group. I think I said that already. There's a group now for Time Splitters 4. There's a ton of different groups. Oh, and there's also Operation Moonfall for Majora's Mask 3D. Stuff like that. There's groups everywhere. There's groups for game localizations. There's groups to get games made. There's groups to get games brought back. It's like there's so many groups, and they all came from the Earthbound Mother groups in the late 90s, early 2000s, and especially when the Mega Man 100,000 strong for Mega Man Legends 3 and Operation Rainfall started last year. Like, there's been so many groups that have started up that want to see in the game industry, that want to see this stuff happen, and it's like, we're never going to get away from this, I don't think. We're never going to get away from this, because there's going to be those unlocalized games that fans are like, I want to play that. Why aren't we getting that? Let's work for it. There's going to be those games that are not being made, that should be made, and they're like, that game should be made. Let's get started page together and actually show this company it should happen. And there's also those games that were originally made, like Mega Man Legends 3, that were eventually canceled. The fans want to be like, why in the world was this canceled? Let's work to get it brought back. This is Mega Man, or this is another game franchise. This is a new idea. This whatever. Let's get it brought back, because this is an idea that this is a game that should actually come out to the industry and actually be able to be sold. It's like, we're never going to see the end of it, because next month we're going to see another group, and the month after that we're going to see another group, because it's like they're always being made now, and everyone's trying to work for that goal of trying to do something in the game industry. And this doesn't just apply to the game industry, because groups like this apply to every single market out there. But I'm specifically talking about like groups that are within the game industry in this video. And it's like, I know we've had all these problems in the past where games get canceled, games don't get localized, certain games don't get made, but certain fans and certain people in the industry don't really want to see that continue for years and years and years. We're in 2012 right now. We're not in the 80s. We're not in the 90s. We're not even in the early 2000s. During those times, like, certain gamers had to put up with these kind of problems. Certain games weren't localized. Certain games weren't made at all. Certain games were eventually canceled. And if they didn't come back as something else, they never were seen ever again. Project Hammer, anyone? It's like, that's just my thoughts. I want to see what you guys think about this. I want to see, do you think we're ever going to have a time in the gaming industry where these groups will never be a major influence on trying to work for these kind of goals? Or do you guys agree with me and think that we're never really going to see it? I mean, I'm not talking about to the point where there's going to be a million groups in the future. I'm talking about there's still going to be groups here and there, like in certain times. Maybe certain times the interest will spike and more groups will come, but there's certain times where they'll be on the down low. I'm talking about they'll never, not saying they'll always be as big as they are now, but I'm talking about they'll all, if we'll never need them ever again. I don't believe so. I believe with these groups we're always going to see this stuff, because there's more and more like groups coming, and there's more and more stuff. People for Project Crosszone, it was not even released in Japan, and they're already working on a localization group to bring it out in Europe and Australia and America and all that stuff, which is really, I think, how these groups should work in the first place. We should get the interest of the games out there right away before it gets released in Japan, and months and months later we decide, oh, you know what, we're going to go do a group. You know, that kind of thing. We're going to do a group now, and the game's like 5-6 months old. We could have worked on a group before then, but you know, it's like, I think when it comes to these groups, like let's say localization groups, they should start out before the game gets released in Japan, or whatever country it's from, technically. The other ones are fine the way they are, because if a game gets canceled, then you can probably work for it after that. There's no set time. Although working on it like right after it happened, like Mega Man Legends 3 group did, is probably the best way to do it, and they're still going strong. And then getting games just made in general, there's no set time technically for those either. You know, it's just like I'm saying, I don't think we're ever going to see the end of these groups. We're always going to see more. There's going to be certain groups that disappear. There's going to be certain more groups coming back, but we're never going to see an entire disappearance of these groups, because they're always going to be around, and all these fans, all these gamers, are going to try to work for something. I know some people will disagree with me on this. Some people will be like, thinking these groups are useless, but really these groups help out the industry. Because they let the developers know what we want. We want certain games localized somewhere. We want certain games brought back. We want certain ideas to come to fruition and be made because we like to buy it. You know, that kind of thing. Stuff like this actually is helpful for the industry, because it lets the developers know, and the gamer and the companies all that know what the fan base actually wants. You know, that's what I believe. There's some people out there that like I hate these groups, like, oh, you should be happy with what you get and everything, and I have seen people like that, and they don't like the groups, and they don't think they work, and they don't do that stuff, and I've seen numerous people on YouTube, numerous people on Facebook, and I know how that works. But, you know, these groups are really helpful. Are every single one of them as helpful as certain other ones? No, but each and every one, each and every group has some sort of importance, and I think that's the reason why they're always going to be here, because these gamers know this. They know that groups like this matter in some ways, because they can let developers know. And if they work together rather than being individuals, and individuals speaking their minds left and right, not being united, it's not going to work that way. But once they unite and form one big group, they can let developers know as one big giant group working towards one common goal. And that's why I believe like these gamers are knowing this, and they're never going to give that up. They're going to be more groups here and there, because they want to better the industry and get stuff that they want, or get stuff that they believe should be, you know, there, you know, should be, you know, the right way, what they believe should actually happen. And I'm just saying this, I don't think we're ever going to see the end of these groups, at least fully. There'll be certain points where maybe there's less groups than normal, but then certain groups are going to come back, or certain new groups are going to be made, and it'll just spike again. You know, that kind of thing. It's like going to be a slope sometimes. Right now we're decently high like kind of thing. Ever since like Operation Rainfall, Mega Man Legends 3, and Operation like Moonfall and Fire Emblem 12 Liberation Army and stuff like that, and Operation 13 and everything. That's just about it. And also like groups like Operation Blue Wave, like, you know, trying to raise interest and stuff too, like the for Wii U and everything, you know, stuff like that too. I'm not just talking about game localization groups. I'm talking about gaming groups in general, like the groups you see on Facebook, you know, stuff like that, where gamers can come together and even talk about stuff like this. It's not necessarily just game localization groups bringing games back or getting game ideas made. It's just like groups coming together, working, like talking about their interest in gaming, and even then taking that maybe to a developer and speaking their mind out on what they believe is right and wrong with the industry, you know, today. That's what I'm saying. That's what I believe. I want to see what you guys think. Put in the comment section what you think. If you want to do a video response, do so. I would love to see people give their thoughts vocally rather than typing text out here. If you get the chance to, please. That's just my thoughts. I don't think we're ever going to see the end of them. And that's it. I'm sniping is fun. I hope you guys like this video. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. And like I said, put a comment in a response in the comment section, or do a video response. I want to see people's thoughts on this. Have a nice day. See you guys later.